Crystal ball. George walked up the steps of his house, keys in hand and a dark look on his face. The neighborhood had been quiet except for the occasional passing car, which did not help his ongoing battle with isolation and loneliness. The quieter it was, the louder his thoughts were, and so he entered his empty home, which housed a quiet so large a drop of pin would be highly audible, his head filled with a mass of concepts. He trudged his way up to his room, carrying his jacket in his hand as he threw the keys onto the desk and collapsed on his bed. He waited a while, his mind the only thing keeping him company, and it wasn't good company. All he had was regrets and scenarios of brighter futures. He had made better decisions in the past. Suddenly, he heard a ring come from the other side of the room. It wasn't coming from his cell phone, but from the vintage telephone that he had found in his house when he first moved in. He had spent weeks trying to repair it, but eventually gave up. But now it seemed to be fully operational. He ran to the phone and answered. "Hello? Hey, Sap, can you believe Governor Schlatt had a heart attack today and died? That's insane." A man on the other end of the phone mumbled into the phone. "I'm sorry, but you must have the wrong number." "Today?" George asked, confused. "Oh, well, sorry then, but yeah, today. It's all over the newspapers," the voice answered, not bothering to end the call even though it was the wrong number. George raised his brow. "Are we talking about Governor Schlatt of Florida?" "Yeah, who else?" the man answered, his shrug visible in his tone. "Schlatt died over 50 years ago, though." George was convinced he was talking to either someone very uneducated or downright insane. The man laughed loudly. "I don't know about you, but I don't remember Schlatt dying in 1920. Now George knew the man couldn't do math. 50 years ago was not 1920. Everyone knows it happened in 1970. Then his right-hand man Tubbo was almost assassinated the next day, George told the man. He did not know why he was so hell-bent on correcting a stranger, but he did so nonetheless. Tubbo? Everyone loves Tubbo. He's fine and giving a speech right now. Listen." The phone sounded like it was moving and suddenly put up to a radio. The radio was barely audible, but George could make out the words like, "This is a tragic loss," and such. It definitely sounded like Tubbo. George figured he was talking to a crazy person and hung up. He walked over to his bed, thought about the phone call for no more than 3 minutes before falling asleep. The next day. It was the next day. George brought up a bowl of cereal to his room to eat. He seemed to stare at his cell phone, waiting for calls and texts of "How are you?" from people that never seemed to come. He booted up his computer to watch videos, when suddenly the old telephone started ringing again. George hesitated for a bit. Did he really want to talk to a crazy person again? Then again, it wasn't like there was anyone else who could talk with him. He sighed, then picked up the phone. "Hell, how did you know?" the same man said into the phone. "What?" "About Tubbo. How someone was going to attempt to kill him today." he asked seriously. George rolled his eyes. I told you, everyone in the States knows. We learned about it in school and everything, didn't you? Also, why do you keep saying today? What's the date for you? The man asked George. George tapped his phone to check the date. July 28th, 2020. No response. Just heavy breathing that sounded like him hyperventilating. After a while, the man spoke again softly. It's July 28th, 1970 here. Now this was confirmation that whoever George was talking to was crazy. Look, if this is some kind of prank, I'm just gonna hang up. This isn't my phone, and I'm not Sap or whoever that is. Wait, the man yelled. Do you live on 820 First Man Burke Street? George started freaking out. The man knew his address. He was going to end the call and contact police or don't freak out. The man read his mind. That's my old house. Well, it's my old house for you, but I live there right now. Does the upstairs bedroom still have the hideous flower wallpaper? Yes, George answered hesitantly. That means they haven't changed it since I lived there. Give me a second. The man was silent for a while until George heard a clicking sound. It was a pen uncapping. What are you doing? George asked. Look in the corner of the wall, near the window. The man told him. Why, just do it. George heard what sounded like scribbling on the other side of the phone. George hesitated, but walked away to the corner of the room. What am I supposed to be looking at? Suddenly, an old, worn-out pen mark started appearing on the wall slowly, like burning wood. Hi, it said. You see that? The man on the other side of the phone asked. Yes. George was hyperventilating and clutching his chest. This surely was not possible. Who are you? Who are you? They both asked at the same time, but the man answered first. My name is Dream. Dream? George raised an eyebrow. It's a nickname. I don't want to give you my real name yet, since you could be some government spy or something. George chuckled. Well, I'm George. So tell me, George, who wins the World Series next year? Asking for a friend. Dream asked, half jokingly. I'm afraid I can't tell you that, George responding. Well, technically I can, but morally it's pretty wrong. Damn, thought that was gonna work. Dream teased. So tell me about the future. Wait, does that sound nerdy? Tell me about 2020. Well,